A lot of video game showcases this week, so a lot of games to talk about. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, August 22nd, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, there was a lot of showcases this week, the biggest of which was the fall Jeff Keighley's, also known as Opening Night Live, which was the first showcase of the week of Summer Games, no, not Summer Games Fest, of Gamescom. So Gamescom's this week, and it was kicked off by Jeff Keighley's Opening Night Live. And man, he had a lot less talking heads, and B, a lot of things that people were waiting for. There was like a 30-minute pre-show, and most of the games in that I don't think were too much to talk about. But I did catch one in there that I thought was cool called Valor Mortis, which kind of gave me Bioshocky vibes, only in that you are a like Napoleonic era like soldier, except for you have like fire abilities that you can shoot out of one hand, and you're using like a saber and a gun in the other hand, which gives me kind of that Bioshocky feel. Although a lot of people were calling it very Souls-likey, but it's first person, so that kind of takes me out of it there. But yeah, it looked like a really cool game, and I wanted to talk about it. They also announced Silksong is a thing and a game that is coming out very soon, actually, September 4th. So in just 2 weeks, the most anticipated and most wishlist game on Steam will be dropping. So I know a lot of people are going crazy for it. I'll actually be playing the first one since I never did that to get ready for it. Dawn of War 4 was announced. It is 40K is single-handedly trying to maintain the RTS genre, and I'm pretty excited for it. Also, I think a Dawn of War remake was released sometime recently as well, so a lot of Dawn of War out there for people who want to play a 40K real-time strategy game. There was more information on Silent Hill F. There's another cool game that was also somewhat called a Souls-like called La Divina Comedie, so the Divine Comedy. But yeah, it looked very Souls-like-esque, so I wrote that down. Outer Wilds 2 has a launch date now. And funnily enough, Ben Schwartz quoted that the fact that GTA has been pushed out or is in next year means that all these games are going to come out with release dates, which is I think where we got most of these release dates. But Outer Wilds 2 talked about the companions that you will play in the game or play with in the game, but not romance, and that the release date is October 29th. My most anticipated game of the year, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, finally got a release date, and it is October 21st, so I know what I will be playing for the second half of October, and I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, they talked about all the clans that are going to be in the game, what the game's about. A lot of people got hands-on, so a lot of really good impressions for that. Resident Evil Requiem is still coming out February of next year, and we get to see a little bit more about what's going on there, and we got to learn more about Ashcroft, I think is her name. I forget the protagonist's name, but yeah, got a lot more information on Resident Evil Requiem. And last but not least, it looks like Black Myth is being turned into a franchise, and they're doing the next Black Myth game, Black Myth Zhonghui, if I'm saying that right. And yeah, there was a ton of games, a lot of ones that I didn't talk about here, but I'm pretty excited for what's coming out of Opening Night Live. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Opening Night Live, so if there's anything I forgot, feel free to comment down below. But those are all the games that kind of caught my eye as I was watching the over like 200 titles or whatever that came out of that. Also, like I discussed last week, Fallout Season 2 was at Opening Night Live at Gamescom. And yeah, we got a new trailer, like a 3-minute long trailer. And they are very much in New Vegas. They also have the Ghoul, or in the previous timeline, something Howard, I think was his name, at Lucky 38 and talking to the head, Mr. House. And we get to see like Caesar's Legion and whatever's left of them. That started my theory brain going off about, considering I love Fallout so much, about like what's happening, because like what we're kind of seeing in the show is this like canon event, and like the idea of an RPG is that your choices are the canon, but it'll be interesting to see what they do or what they put the characters through, or what happens after whatever happened with the courier, the main character of Fallout, New Vegas. So interesting to see that. Also, the show will be launching weekly, and the first episode will drop on December 17th. So, unfortunately, for all you bingers out there, you will have to watch it weekly. But for people like me who enjoy getting together with people and watching an hour of a show each week and then discussing, I'm excited for a weekly release and watching this week to week for 8 weeks coming in December. There was another game showcase this week. The Future Game Show had everything that wasn't already included in Opening Night Live, and some games that were in both. First of which I want to talk about is Blood of the Dawnwalker. That's the upcoming Witcher-esque game where you play as a vampire and you're like weak during the day, and then you're more of a powered up vampire at night, and you have to kind of manage those two, manage that cycle, which looked really cool. We got to see a lot more gameplay of that, and I'm very excited for that. We got to see more Hell Is Us, which is another weird game, but it's like a post-apocalyptic, but the main character has like a really weird sword. Looks kind of like a lightsaber, so that one's always kind of kept my eye on. We got to see a little bit more of what that's all about this week. There's an upcoming game called Fellowship, and this is what if World of Warcraft, but you only ever ran dungeons with your friends. So that game has always been kind of... I forgot what the name was called until this week, but I've been keeping my eye on that one. There's a new kind of like colony sim game called Dark Switch, which is a pretty mid name, but it looked like it had some pretty cool mechanics. You're like building out a settlement in this like weird kind of dark fantasy setting. You're like in a tree or something like that, and you kind of build out and have to manage your base. So look cool to me. Bluebird Team's next game, Chronos New Dawn, is their survival horror game that's coming out, not related to any of the survival horror games they've been doing in like the Silent Hill era. So excited to see what Bluebird Team will do with another survival horror game, and I love what they do outside of the Silent Hill games, like I did like The Medium. Got to see, and Chronos I think was at both, but I got to see a better look of them in. There was actually an interview with them in the Future Game Show. So those are some games from the Future Game Show that I am excited about. Lots of showcases this week, lots of titles. If you feel I forgot any, or I should keep my eye on any, leave a comment down below. Some influencers or people on the internet were woken up with strange AI ads using their likeness this week as First Descendant, the Gooner Looter Shooter, as it's known on the internets, officially posted ads using AI copies of reaction streamers out there and just kind of use their stuff and then voiced over with like a bad computer dub using their likenesses and just shelling out for the game First Descendant. So a lot of people were quite upset this week when those were officially posted. They've since been taken down, but whatever company they used to make their marketing assets, just kind of whole cloth took AI to these kind of reaction streams to build their ads out for. So pretty gross stuff. I'll have a link down below if you want to check that out. But pretty gross that people are just having their and that's the dystopian future that we've kind of built for ourselves, is that people can just AI grab your entire likeness, redub it with an AI voiceover, and now you are advertising something that you don't even know about. So pretty gross. Marvel Rivals, or NetEase, the company behind Marvel Rivals, is already starting to have conversations about original characters, which I think is pretty weird, considering the almost century of Marvel content they have to plumb, that they could make any character they want. They've even popularized, Squirrel Girl somewhat memey, but like Jeff the Landshark. Like there is plenty of stuff to be mined as far as the Marvel IP. But NetEase is already talking about, what about an original character? And maybe they're talking about it more in the future, but even then, I think that there's probably a Marvel character that you could do the thing you want with, but actually use the IP. I'm also surprised that Marvel would be okay with this, and that there isn't already something that exists to do the thing you want to. So, pretty weird statement, but I just wanted to draw attention to that this week. The developers of Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, yes, I know, very long name, got into some controversy as we got more and more information this week. in that vampire famously has 7 kind of clans that you play as within the Vampire the Masquerade IP. But 2 of those clans will be stuck behind a $30 DLC. So I don't remember which specific clans they are, but if you buy the base game, you will be able to play as one of 4 starting clans, vampire clans, and then if you buy the like $90 version of the game, which includes the DLC or like season pass, you will get the other 2 clans that you can play as. So, yep, that got them in a lot of hot water. Like 50% of the game, well, 33% of the game is stuck behind a paywall that is worth 50% of the game. Anyway, enough percentages there, but yeah, that got them in a lot of hot water this week. I'll be buying the big. I was actually looking for like a $200 collector's edition that probably comes with a statue or something that doesn't exist anymore. But I'll be picking up the premium edition, and even though I will probably play one of the clans that are vampire clans that are not that aren't in the DLC. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the game, but a little controversy this week on their DLC strategy for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Is there such thing as unmarketing? Like not wanting to buy, like there's bad marketing where like you don't want to buy stuff, or like they've shown off the product and you're like meh. But like every time Randy Pitchford opens his mouth and talks about Borderlands 4, I like out of spite want to not buy it. Which I still don't have like a multiplayer shooter game that I'm gonna play with my friends that I want to. So I might still pick up Borderlands 4. But every time Randy Pitchford opens his mouth, he says something stupid and puts his foot in it, like saying that the game is worth 5 times what it's being what it costs. Which, like, what? Like the game, you know, he's caught a lot of flack about the game being $80, and he said like real fans will buy it, and like it's apparently worth more than you're getting charged for it, which are all crazy statements by a madman. But yeah, I might still pick up the game, but like just get him off of the interview track and like have him stop talking about it, because I feel like he is bristling the community who would actually like to buy this game with every time he opens his mouth. So if he could just stop talking about Borderlands 4, I might actually still buy it. So take that as you will. Another thing that was announced this week was the Xbox, well, announced a release date for the Xbox version of the handheld by Asus called the ROG Xbox Ally. Again, terrible naming. But will be launching on October 16th. And the strange thing is it'll have 2 different models, and no one knows the price point yet. The price point was not part of this announcement, so even though that is coming out within 8 weeks from now, they have still not listed a price point for what this ROG will cost, leading many to speculate whether or not it'll be exorbitantly over the current kind of pricing strategy for Steam Decks, which already were kind of pushing the limit on what people would pay for. So I don't think anybody's going to pay $1,000 for an Xbox version of a not Steam handheld. So it'll be interesting to see. It's a little bit bigger. I've seen a couple comparisons between like the Steam Deck and this new unit. You know, the controller will probably feel good because Xbox has a really good controller. But it'll be interesting to see what they price this thing at and if it's dead on arrival. So interesting stuff going on there for Xbox and their partnership with Asus, and I guess we'll find out what it costs in just under 2 months. Not to put politics in your video games, but Gavin Newsom has taken a shot at President Donald Trump this week over his what he correctly blames Trump for on the PS5 getting a price hike. So the PlayStation 5, Sony is increasing the price of the PlayStation 5, quoting a challenging economic environment, which in so many words means Donald Trump's stupid tariffs. And yeah, they increased their price from like the $500 PS5 to now they cost $550. This won't be affecting like peripherals and headsets and controllers, but it will be affecting the main consoles. And yeah, Newsom's like, hey, thanks for screwing this up for everybody. Which he definitely did. So, not to get too political, but yeah, I think that's here are the tariffs coming home to roost. So interesting stuff going on there. Last but not least, a game was announced that had nothing to do with any of the showcases this week, but another cool one that I just wanted to call out and talk about. There's a upcoming musical, like fixer up. I don't know what you call that genre, where you just kind of like fix everything up and make it look nice. Not quite Animal Crossing, but like a first person, you're just trying to like decorating sim kind of game, called There Are No Ghosts in the Grand. And in the trailer, it has like people singing, and they kind of exposit during their songs about what's going on, and you're trying to manage a hotel that's haunted and has ghosts, and there's other freaky stuff going on. So really cool game. I want musicals in my video games more often. So I'm excited for this game, and it wasn't part of any of the other showcases, so I couldn't call it out there. But that's it for this week. Let me know if you feel I forgot anything down below in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!